Hello, American Tours. Hey, Lisa Ann, how are you? Looks like it's just me and you. Oh, there's a couple people. Lacey Green, hello. Carol E. Boers and the Abizax. Oh, there's a few on there. Good morning. I'm bored. I haven't done this in a long time. It's 6:41 a.m. on Sunday morning over here in the Philippines. I'm on the other side of the world. I guess it's 5:42 p.m. on Saturday evening there in the U.S. I'm just out walking around waiting on my family to wake up. I've readjusted, or I've adjusted to the time zone difference. We've been over here for 6 days now, I think. There's a 13-hour difference this time of year when we're not on the, daylight savings time crap, which is just crap. It's 12 hours. We are literally on the opposite side of the world. If you held the globe like this, in Virginia, where we live, was on this finger, the Philippines would be here. You just tilt it a little bit. We're 7 degrees above the equator. Hey, Lacey, the Philippines is going great. Hello, Annette Flynn. Hey there, longtime follower. How are you, Annette? Yeah, it's going great. I'm really excited because today we're going to a different island. I'm not going to give you specific locations of where we are because that's just not safe. It's not safe to do anywhere in the world, but especially over here. But we're going to another island here once everybody wakes up and has breakfast. And we're going to spend the next 5 days at some very beautiful private beach resorts. Get to hang out with my best friend over here. Call him bro. He's like a brother to me. He's the man that introduced me to my beautiful bride dearly, without whom we wouldn't have our wonderful son Daniel. Hi there, Catherine. Fabulous 60s. Good to see you. Hey, Tammy from Pennsylvania. Good to see you. So it's not a whole lot of people out yet this morning. Again, it's Sunday, 6:43. I'm killing time. Here comes, is that a jeepney? No, that's just a car. So folks, I started coming over here in 2010. I met my wife in 2010. And I lived here once for 6 years straight. I've spent about 8 of the last 15 years over here total. I love it over here. I'll tell you, if anybody's got any questions, I mean, we could kill some time. Like if you have questions about the culture, the country, what it's like. It's a lot cleaner now than it used to be. If you look behind me, you see this street, even along the side, it's really clean. It used to not be so clean. And again, I'm just going to state facts. I'm not being political. These are just facts. Their former president, Rodrigo Duterte, he really cleaned this country up. He instilled discipline. And, there used to be a lot of crime. In most of the country, I couldn't stand here. And the Filipino people either couldn't stand out here with their iPhone in their hand like this in the street without expecting it to be taken, just stolen. But now, I'll tell you what, I never thought I'd see the day where the Philippines was safer than the U.S., but I believe we're there now. I never thought I'd see the day where Manila, the capital city of the Philippines, was a safer place to be than Charlottesville, Virginia, my hometown. Back in Virginia, I live right outside of Charlottesville, but Manila literally is safer now than Charlottesville. You are more likely to be murdered or have a violent crime committed against you in Charlottesville than you are now in Manila. My take on why is that? Well, again, Duterte distilled discipline. He got rid of a lot of bad guys. He made it clear that he set an example. But also there's the problem in the U.S. There's some beautiful young Filipino ladies there. There's such a mental health crisis in the U.S. now. Everybody's just so bat crap crazy. My theory on that is it's just a lot of things. Our society in the U.S. is so stringent and rigid. There are so many rules. Everything's taxed and regulated. I always say it like this, especially when I'm trying to explain to the people in the Philippines. They want to know why people in America are so crazy. It's not because of the firearms. that's just when those things happen, that's the result of the insanity. But I always tell them, at any given time, you're breaking a law in the U.S. At any given time, you're breaking some law. You piss off the wrong person, or the wrong person sees it, the wrong neighbor makes a phone call, and you can have a problem that will just drive you nuts. I mean, I tell you, HOAs, I was talking to my buddy Ray over here, who's from England originally, but he's been over here for about 20 years now, living full time. You know, I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. Dearly and I just recently bought another property. I'll get into the full story of it at some point later. Yes, we still have our homestead. We're always going to keep that. That's our forever home. But we bought in an HOA, and it has to do with taking away a commute. We were spending too many hours a month commuting for a certain purpose, and we took out that commute by buying another property. And also, we view it as just a wonderful investment. We've been very successful in social media. Thank you for allowing that to happen. Especially those of you like Annette and like Lisa, who have been here for the long haul. Almost 20 years I've been doing social media. But I have a truck. It's a very big truck, and Dearly has a tiny little Mercedes-Benz. It's a cute little car. We park her car in the garage, and then we leave my car out on the driveway. And the truck, you've got to pretty much be touching the garage door when it's closed with the front bumper of the truck to make sure the rear bumper's off the sidewalk. And the first time we parked there, the bumper was about 6 inches over the sidewalk, and we were starting to go into our new home, part-time home that we own there, which will eventually become a rental property. But I said, I got to move the truck up about 6 inches, guide me so I don't hit the garage door. And she laughed and she said, it's fine. You know, it's 6 inches over the sidewalk. Nobody will care. And I explained to her about HOAs. There's an HOA. I said, honey, you have no clue. The first Karen that comes down this sidewalk walking a dog that has to move over 6 inches to get around that truck bumper is likely to file a complaint with the HOA. We will be warned, and then any time after that our bumper is 6 inches over this sidewalk, we will be fined $50. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. So my point of that long-winded story, which I'm really good at telling long-winded stories, is that that's how stringent and rigid the rules are in the U.S. Sadly, there are a lot of people who just don't have discipline, and they need strong, rigid rules. But that's one example of where it's taken a little bit too far, and it'll literally drive people nuts. I mean, it'll drive people insane. All right. So American Tours says, I remember Art Bell living in Manila for a while. The broadcast from there for a few months. Oh, yeah, a few months at a time, yeah. Okay, I remember Art Bell. I used to listen to him like 30 years ago. Hello, Rose. Somebody, I'm not wearing my glasses right now. Wild Roots Learning, hi. Lacey Green, hello. Hey, Peter. That guy called me Hey Joe, so I said Hey Peter. That's only the second time it's happened in the week I've been here. It used to happen anytime you'd walk down the sidewalk. But it doesn't happen much anymore. I'll tell you what's really helped this country is social media. It's allowed them to see how the rest of the world does things, which has been good and bad. It's allowed them to make improvements inside their own culture. Like, they don't just yell Hey Joe anymore when they see a white foreigner, which they used to, which would be like yelling Hey N-word if you saw a black person on the streets anywhere else in the world. But they now understand, that's maybe not the right thing to do. So every now and then you'll see what they call a nativo from the provinces. That's someone from a very rural area who's still, and I'd say this in the true definition of the word ignorant, not out of trying to be an insult, but they're truly so ignorant they don't realize they're ignorant. So they'll still do that. And you get that in the U.S. If you go up some of them hollers in Appalachia far enough, you'll still run into people that are just so ignorant they don't even know they're ignorant. But some of the bad things, they try to mirror, like the rest of the world, U.S. culture, American culture, and it's been detrimental to the youth. Filipino youth, the children it's part of the culture. They are very respectful of their elders. They're respectful of their parents. They don't talk back. They do what they're told. They don't question it. Because, however, they've seen a lot of what youth in the West is like, particularly in the U.S., they're now starting to lose their discipline. They think it's cool to backtalk to their parents. just in recent years. So social media has been a plus and a minus for them in that regard. It's a good thing they don't have winter. One of the things that drives my wife dearly nuts is that, for example, in the winter when it's cold, when our kid goes to school, he wears a coat. Well, most of them don't. And, the American parent, especially the American mother's attitude is, it's cold, but I mean, he just doesn't want to wear a coat. So what do you do? Well, my wife, Filipino mother, she says you make him wear a damn coat. If he refuses to wear the coat, then he's not allowed to leave the house and he won't go to school. And if he gets enough excessive absences and Child Protective Services comes and asks why my kid's not going to school, I'll tell him my kid's not going to school because he doesn't want to wear a coat and it's 20 degrees out and he will either wear a coat or he won't leave this house. Well, as a result, our son wears a coat when it's cold. So it's not about, that's part of the culture here. Filipino mothers don't threaten to count to 3 and then never get past 2 and 96/100ths. But again, some of that's going by the wayside because a lot of the youth here are seeing how disrespectful and undisciplined Western youth is, especially in the U.S., and they're starting to mirror that. So Annette Flynn says she lived in Italy for a couple of years and she loved it. Thomas Jordan says, I love your videos. God bless you and your family. Also, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you. Over here in the Philippines, you would say, Maayong Pasko. Maayong means good and Pasko means Christmas. So Maayong Pasko. It's interesting. This is the only Christian nation in Asia. It's a predominantly Catholic nation because Spain occupied the Philippines for 433 years. The U.S. liberated the Philippines from Spain in the Spanish-American War, 1898. We stayed until 1905 when they ran us out. We basically started occupying for their natural resources and they wanted us gone. We wouldn't leave. They forced us out by force. It's a very proud moment for them. They call it the Filipino-American War, which is basically what it was, and they won. U.S. history, the history books will call it the Filipino Uprising, as if those people just didn't know their place and they got uppity, so we just left because it wasn't worth it. The truth is, no, we did view it as worth it because they had coconuts and bananas and all this fruit, and we were becoming the world's largest fruit dealer because of what we were pillaging from the Philippines and other places in Latin America. Of course, Philippines is in Asia. There's that. Again, they say the thing about history is that the version you will hear of it is dependent upon who wrote it. One of my favorite, I used to be a huge history buff. I used to read so much. But the War of 1812 is one of my favorite wars. Not that, it sounds bad to have a favorite war, especially if, like myself, you actually fought in one. I was in Iraq. But that's a period of history that they don't even teach about in England, in the UK. Why? Because, we won that one. But anyway, let me stop talking about all that. Let's get some shout outs here. Please hit the like button. Thanks, Lisa Ann. There went a little jeepney. What's that? It's a jeepney. That's one of the main forms of public transportation over here. That originated from U.S. Army Jeeps that were left over after the Second World War, which is the other time we liberated the Philippines. We liberated them from Japan. Japan had occupied this country. Philippines was a great ally of ours. We liberated them from Japan. But we left all these Jeeps behind. So they pretty much cut off the back end of them, extended them, put bleacher type seats in them, and that's now the #1 form of public transportation over here. Here comes a little one. That's a little tiny one right there. See that? Look in the back. See how you see the people in the back? You just climb in the back. Excuse me. You can ride from one end of the town to the other for 50 cents. The cost of living over here is very inexpensive. $1 is currently worth 58 of their pesos. Your real rate of return, though, is about 4 to 1. Now, what I mean by that is you can't come here and buy 58 times as much stuff for $1 as you could back home, but you can buy about 4 times as much stuff. You can live however your lifestyle back in the U.S. You can live a similar lifestyle here for about 1/4 the cost. Traffic's starting to pick up. So where we're going today, we'll ride a ferry to cross to the next island, but we usually stay at one private resort where they have private boats that'll come pick you up and take you across a bay. It's about a 10-minute boat ride, and you can ride it for 50 cents. It's wonderful. There's another jeepney. So I'll try to make some videos while we're at the resorts and while we're at the beaches. It's beautiful, but you can stay at the equivalency of a 5-star resort over here. The best food you can imagine eating for $50 a night, $50 US a night. We've got some old videos on our channel here from when we stayed here in years past. Check them out. You can go through our playlists. You go to our About page and go through playlists. You'll find one titled probably Philippines, Life in the Philippines. It's just incredible how far your dollar goes over here. And I'll tell you, you know, when Dearly and I were over here and Daniel was a baby, we couldn't wait to get to the U.S. And we had some struggles with getting back to the U.S. financially, but we finally made it and we've done well there and we have a wonderful life there. But here in a few short years when our son's out of high school, we're very much looking forward to spending as much time over here as we are back home. There's no stress over here. It's like I don't want to say you don't have to be responsible. You've got to be responsible everywhere you go, but you don't have as many responsibilities over here. And, you know, in the U.S., to live the lifestyle we live, which we love our lifestyle, you just kind of have to earn so much if you want to do it without going into debt, which is how we live it. We're not debtors. We don't have debt other than a primary mortgage, which is almost paid off. Secondary mortgages on rental properties, we don't mind carrying because tenants pay that for us. But it's like over here, you literally, I lived over here once for 3 years straight on $1,038 a month. $1,038 a month. I was getting some money from the VA after having gotten hurt in Iraq, spending 6 months in an Army hospital, having surgery when I got back, going through rehab. In the U.S., you can't rent a dingy apartment for that. Over here, that was enough for us to have a house with utilities and buy groceries. And that allowed me to focus on my writing, and it allowed me to focus on social media, getting established, eventually building a business, which has done really well. And again, I've got to thank all of you for making that possible. It wouldn't have happened without you guys. Hi, Sherry Williams. And hello, Michael Wood in Oklahoma. And Annette, I bet my ducks do miss me, but we actually have a friend from the Philippines who lives right down the road from us who's going to take care of our ducks and our chickens every day. She sends us videos. They're happy. They're squawking. But yeah, anyway, we're looking forward to getting back because over here, the cost of living is so low. You don't have to work yourself into a mud puddle on a daily basis and work weekends and evenings just to be able to exist without, look, you got two options in the U.S. You can work your tail off, work your fingers to the bones and live over there and not have debt, or you can just give up the ghost and go into consumer debt and have credit card debt and personal lines of credit and dip into your home's equity every year. It goes up 50 grand a year. You go out and run 48,000 of that further up into debt so you can continue to live your lifestyle because it's just so damn expensive over there. We're going to just go back and forth, spend half of our time over here and half of our time over there, and I will not be working as much as I currently do over there, and I'm going to get back into writing books more than I am actually social media-ing because I'll be able to. I'll be able to just sit on the white sandy beach, as I'm going to be doing here a little bit later, having a cold one and writing the next short story collection or the next full-length novel, you know? Hello, Cynthia Sandbeck in Minnesota. I'm in the Philippines. Yes, where it is 7 a.m. on Sunday morning, December 21. So I guess over here it's a winter solstice. It's the first day of winter. And at 7 a.m. it is about a balmy 82 degrees. And it will get up to about 90 later. I mean, we're 7 degrees above the equator over here. It's summer 12 months out of the year. There are 2 rainy seasons. This is not one of them. This is a very beautiful, pleasant season. I'd walk up and down the street, but I'm afraid I'd lose my signal. Just to show you guys around a little bit. Also got to be worried, concerned with operational security. OPSEC, they call it in the military. Don't want some of the wrong people knowing exactly where I am. American Tours says you must do okay with the long flights. I would enjoy that. So usually we fly from Dulles in DC to San Francisco, which is about a 4.5-hour flight. I hope I don't get kicked off for copyright material here. This is a Jeep. That's called a tricycle. I've got to walk away from this or YouTube will shut this video off. A tricycle is basically a motorcycle with a passenger cab on the side. And you can fit 2 or 3 people in there comfortably, but they'll haul 6 or 8 people at times. That's another form of transportation here. That's called a pedicab. That's like a bicycle. That guy's pedaling that. And then that's got a sidecar that can hold 2 or 3 people comfortably, but they'll pack 6 or 8 people on there. But this thing you're hearing back here, there's a guy on the corner and he's playing his music as loud as he can. That's one of the discomforts you've got to just accept if you live in the Philippines. There's 123 million people on a total landmass only half the size of Texas. So, like, personal space is not part of the culture. They're very respectful people if you're dealing with them individually, one-on-one. They're a hell of a lot more respectful than most people in America, I'll tell you that. But they don't necessarily, here's how I word it. They don't really have common courtesies in public. So that guy wants to hear his music as loud as it'll go. He's going to turn it up as loud as it'll go, as will the dozens of other people just in close proximity. And people just accept it. If somebody doesn't like it, they won't complain, because what would happen if you were to complain, and this is one of the not so prettier sides of their culture, is that they'll turn it up, they'll make it louder. For example, last year, this past summer when we were here for just 2 weeks, somebody in the hotel room beside ours was playing their television extremely loud all night, and I couldn't sleep. So I called the front desk and I complained. I said, hey, I'm in room so-and-so, the room beside me, could you please give them a ring and ask them if they turn their television way down or turn it off? It was 3 a.m. Well, they did, and so the guy turned it up even louder. It's like, that's just how it goes. So you got to bite your tongue a lot. You've got to accept a lot of stuff that's just kind of uncomfortable. So yeah, like I say in the U.S., if you're out in public, most people will show you common courtesies. Like if I'm jogging, at least in Charlottesville where I live, and a car's coming, they'll slow down and they'll make sure I'm safely across the road before they go, most of them. In the Philippines, they'll just run you over. You better stop or they're going to run you over. Okay, so there's no common courtesies in public. But most of those people in the U.S. who might smile and let you cross the road, they're probably an a-hole in private. Whereas here in the Philippines, they're probably the nicest people you ever meet individually. And a lot of that, too, in their defense is when there's 10 people sitting at the dinner table and there's only 9 pieces of food, you've got to act quickly or you're going to be the one that doesn't eat. Hello, good morning. Maayong Pasko. Do you want to say hi to folks in America on YouTube? I'm live streaming.
Hello, good morning.
Merry
Christmas. Pangalan?
Oo.
Pangalan ako si Sarah.
Her name is Sarah.
Yeah.
Pangalan ko, Kevin.
Kevin?
Yeah. They know me as Crazy
Hello,
Lake.
Kevin.
Hello. So what's the imu trabaho, Daddy?
Street sweeper.
I asked her, what is your job? She says street sweeper.
Yeah.
So you sweep the streets and keep it clean?
Yeah.
Do you work for the government? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to show the name of I don't want people to know where I am. So anyway, any questions for Sarah?
Any question for me?
You want to know anything about living in the Philippines as a Filipina?
Yeah, I need a good friend like this.
You need a good friend like me?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody needs a good friend like me.
Hello, I need good friend.
Sarah needs a good friend like me.
Good, I like to a good friend like me. Like you, like me, and all.
Yeah? All right, well, Atsuko dito.
Punta ka doon.
Oo.
Tapos mag-vlog ka doon.
Oo.
Tapos babalik ka na naman, ikot ka, papunta doon sa Claveria.
Oo.
Yun. Yun na yun.
Tama.
Okay,
Na
bye-bye.
Atsuko direksyon ni tsaka wala.
Diretso ka doon.
Oo.
Huwag ka magpunta sa wala. Dito ka lang, sa Too.
Asa P-Park.
P-Park dito. Pag
Oh,
ganyan.
dito?
Oo.
Wala dito?
Wala dyan.
Okay.
Dyan.
All right. Tito?
Oh.
All right. Salamat.
Salamat.
Everybody say bye, Sarah.
Hello. Merry Christmas to all.
Lisa Ann, one of our friends from back home, says, hi, Sarah. Beautiful lady.
No, thank you.
Salamat is how you say that here, right?
Salamat sa lahat na nag-say na beautiful ako. Charot.
Guapa. Guapa kayo ka.
Guwapa ko.
All right.
Bigay ni Lord. Charot.
They're all saying Merry
Hello.
Christmas.
Merry
They're saying bye,
Christmas,
Sarah.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Palam.
Bye-bye.
Palam. All right. Ikaw, walay sa payan.
Naway sa payan.
She said, thank you. I said, you're welcome. She was telling me where she lives in her language. And she said, you know, come by and see me anytime. And I said, okay, thanks. And I asked her for directions, and I'm glad I did because I was going the wrong way. So I got to go back this way. See how friendly she is? And that's so common here. The people really are the friendliest people in the world. You'll hear horror stories about people scamming. That happens everywhere. It happens everywhere. I mean, hey, and as an American, who are we to talk about scamming when the biggest form of legalized fraud in the world is part of our culture? It's called health insurance, or any sort of insurance, but particularly health insurance. Let me tell you about that. I spent 2 nights and 3 days in a hospital over here once when I lived here. I had dengue fever, dengue fever is carried by a mosquito. It's like malaria's first cousin. They call it bone break fever because when you have it, it burrows into your bones and it literally feels like somebody's breaking your bones. One of the most painful experiences I ever had. So I had dengue fever on top of pneumonia. I thought I was going to die. I was so concerned. And it's back when I was writing the book Isle of Capri, which is a paranormal type story set here in the Philippines. You guys ought to read it. It's on Amazon and print and Kindle. So anyway, I finished writing that book while I was in the hospital with dengue fever and pneumonia because I was afraid I was going to die and the book wouldn't be finished. So I thought, well, if it's my final act, I'd finish this book before I pass away. 2 nights, 3 days in a hospital, full service treatment from a doctor who got her medical degree from the University of Chicago in the US, but who practices back in her native Philippines because she just wants to help people. And as she explained to me, she can't do that in the US because she's got to give 1/3 of her salary to malpractice insurance, and she doesn't want to do that. I had nurses, everything. It cost me about $400. $400 total for 2 nights, 3 days in a hospital. There's been a couple of times here where I've had to get some medical attention. That was one of them because, again, I've spent 8 out of the last 15 years here. Our son Daniel, he was in the hospital once in Manila because he had this like a fever of 104. They did tests. They kept him overnight for observation. They gave him some kind of medicine. I forget exactly what it was that was wrong. But the hospital in Manila was as nice and as clean and as professional as any hospital I've been in the U.S., to include the University of Virginia Hospital, UVA Hospital. Martha Jefferson is a wonderful hospital there in Charlottesville. That's the one we use because I've always had nothing but good experiences there. Our doctor bill was $120. $120. Well, just healthcare is affordable here because they don't have the insurance lobby. Now, do they have health insurance here? Yes. My wife's family, I call them my family because they're my family. They do have health insurance, and it costs them, I think it's 200 pesos a month, which is $4. So they pay $4 a month for health insurance. Works just like it does in the U.S. It's a pool, like a Ponzi scheme, which is all insurance is. So if they were to go to the hospital and it cost $120, since they had health insurance, maybe they would be required to pay $20. And the insurance would pay the other $100. But it's just not a racket like it is back home. But somebody was asking about the plane rides. So we typically fly from Dulles to San Francisco. That's about a 4-hour and 45-minute flight. Then the long one is from San Francisco to Manila. That is literally a 15-hour flight. So I've had people ask me, what do you do on a 15-hour flight? Well, this is what you do. About halfway through that 15-hour flight, you start asking yourself why in the hell you're taking this trip. When you're 10 hours into that flight with 5 hours to go, you promise yourself you're never going to take this trip again. Then once you get here, after 2 days, you're like, man, I'm glad I took this trip. I'm glad I'm here, especially today. now that we're going to go over to the next island and we're going to spend 5 days at these private beach resorts on a shoestring, literally, I will have me, Dearly, Daniel, and we're going to take a dozen of her family members. We're going to have about 3 or 4 rooms at these resorts. We're taking my buddy Ray, and this is my Christmas gift to him, treating him and his lady and their son. We're going to have 5 rooms. We'll be at 2 or 3 different resorts over a period of 5 days. We'll stay at one for a couple days, hop to the next one. So we're looking at, he was trying to give me a ride. It's one of those tricycles, but I don't need a ride. But he was friendly. He just honked and I said no thanks. Oh, look, he's coming back. You want to say hi? Main boom tag. Hindi Salamat. You want to say hi to people in America?
Hello, hi people in America.
Unsa imo pangalan?
Ryan.
Ryan? Pangalan ko Kevin.
Okay, good.
This is Ryan. He's a tricycle driver. Can I show him your tricycle?
Okay.
Look, here's the seat. This is the inside. So he's got a motorcycle with a sidecar. Yeah, and that's it. You can put a couple people here, a couple people back here. Yeah. Nice, huh?
Okay, man.
All right. Salamat. Salam. See how friendly they are? That guy doesn't know me. He doesn't know me. Compare him to a New York City taxi driver. You think those guys are this friendly? And I've been to, not New York City, I've been through the Bronx. And I've been up 2 summers ago, we went up and stayed with friends in the Hamptons. Nice place. Literally passed $50 million houses up there. We got a friend that has a house up there and took us up there for about 10 days. All right, so there's kids. I would say they're walking to school, but it's Sunday. They're probably walking to church. Big in the, oh, here comes some more copyright material. I hope YouTube doesn't shut me down. So yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have about 20 people at these resorts. And he just wants to share his music with everybody. Isn't it a beautiful morning here? So, we'll spend $500 a day maybe for 20 people, and that's 4 or 5 rooms, because literally it's like $50 for a room. And these are rooms with modern amenities. We're gonna have running water. We might even have hot water, which isn't so common over here because you just really don't need it. We'll have flushing toilets. We'll have king size beds for the single rooms, double queens in the rooms the kids will stay in. We've got a bunch of kids with us, Dearly's nieces and nephews. If it was just me, Dearly, and Daniel, we could stay at the nicest resorts in this country because we have before for $100 a day. And that includes your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you get 5-star service. They have massage parlors. You can get your nails done. You can have your hair done. It's so wonderful. If you were to go to a place like that in the U.S., it would cost you $1,000 to $1,500 a day. Here, it's $100. It's just incredible. The only pricey part of this trip and coming here is airfare. So for me, Dearly, and Daniel, round trip tickets for the 3 of us is about $8,000 every time we do it. We get them about 3 months in advance. But we won't spend that much money the whole time we're here. Oh, I thought I was in her way. A couple of winters ago, we spent an entire winter here, 5 months. We rented a beautiful 3-bedroom house in a gated community that had security in it, and the rent was $400 a month, and that included all the utilities, internet. Food is so inexpensive. We will go to the grocery store and fill a shopping cart with food, like food for 7 to 10 days, and it costs $100. You fill your shopping cart like that in the US, and it's going to be $500. It's crazy. Yeah, I know our budget. We'll spend $350 for a week of food in the US, so that's 3, 6, 9, 12. You're $1,400 for a family of 3 in the US. It's so pricey. It's so expensive. Now, of course, in Charlottesville, where we live, it's a little more expensive than a lot of places. But, you get what you pay for. It's a higher quality of living than in a lot of places in the US. But still, come over here, $100, $200 a month at most. You can feed a family of 3. All right. Robin Mungle says, my uncle just married his wife, Camilla, from there, and they do kind of what you do. But he said it's insane how much cheaper and healthier it is there. Yeah, it is. It is. It's nuts. I'll tell you, the secret's getting out. When I lived here last time, I don't know current numbers, but when I lived here full time, there were 30,000 United States citizens living in this country full time. Yes, they're mostly men, but women can live very comfortably here too. I'm just going to be honest, and I'm not trying to sound like a misogynist. We all have our own personal preferences. The culture here is very traditional in regard to family. Family is the most important aspect of their culture. And so the women, Filipino women, what's important to them is their relationship with their husbands, their relationship with their children, and taking care of their husbands, taking care of their children. And if you're a type of man like me, I'm an earner, I'm an alpha. I view it as my job to provide for my family, and I'm really good at that. I do a very wonderful job of that, financially, emotionally, in all ways. I provide for my family. So my wife, with her Filipina cultural mindset, she views it as, hey, this man takes care of me and he takes care of our child. I'm going to do everything I can to take care of him. And I've said this in videos in the past, because she does everything domestic, I don't have to cook. I can't remember the last time I made my own coffee. Yeah, but because of that, I don't do laundry, I don't clean house. And our houses, we have more than one, are immaculate. You go in, you think we have a maid. Well, we don't. Dearly just keeps a very clean house. That's part of her culture. There's no clutter, there's not crap everywhere. And it's like win-win. And because she does all that, the only thing I have to focus on is providing. My mind's not cluttered with, oh my God, I better cook dinner so we can eat. Dearly's got that covered. I can't remember the last time I cooked. I probably don't know how to cook anymore. So as a result of that, I'm in the top 1 percentile of all income earners in the world, because all I have to do is make money. I'm not bragging. And what I'm telling you is I couldn't do that if my beautiful bride Dearly, my Filipina wife with her Filipina cultural mindset, if she didn't do everything she did domestically, I wouldn't be able to earn what I do, and I would be a middle-class American schmuck so far in debt I would never get out, because I wouldn't have time to just earn. I'd be running kids, my kid and his friends, to practices, which I do because I coach anyway, but I make sure to get my work done before that happens. I never miss work because of other priorities. I will get up at 3 o'clock in the morning if I have to make sure the work's done before I do those other things that need to get done. And again, that makes me a little different than most guys, and that's why I'm in the top 1 percentile of income earners. And that's why I'm an alpha, and that's why I'm a producer and a provider, instead of a lot of the beta males you see back in the US who are like just not really pulling their weight. But again, in their defense, a lot of them don't have the ability to pull their weight because they're cleaning house, they're cooking meals, they are the primary child care providers in their household, because they're strong, independent women are out there. And God bless anybody and whatever they want to do. If you want to have a job, you want to have a career, go for it. It's just hard. Listen, what is it? No man or no woman can serve two masters. It really works out great for us because Dearly does the domestic side, I do the money side, and we live a fantabulous life because we both succeed, because we support each other to the degree to where we can both succeed independently with our responsibilities. So yeah, that's why you get a lot of men over here. They're like, hey, I'll do the work, I'll earn the money, you take care of the home front, and let's live a fabulous life. And oh, by the way, wow, you treat me with respect and dignity, I treat you with respect and dignity. Dearly and I talk about this a lot. Back home, we have like a lot of friends who brag about how they boss their husbands around and how they, man, and we're like, and she'll look at me and she's like, are you glad I don't treat you like that and I don't talk to you like that? And I'm like, yeah. All right, I'm going off on a tangent here. Hello, Gloria de Guzman. That sounds like a Filipino name there. Are you in the Philippines? Emma Johnson says there's another Kevin in the Philippines. He has a Filipino wife. Okay, maybe I'll meet him. Karen Meal says, I have a childhood friend that moved to the Philippines and says he will never move back to the USA. I'm telling you, and I said this earlier, I love America, defended it, you know, fought in Iraq. I'm a veteran. I'm not a fan of the IRS, but I give them what I'm supposed to. It's a shit. Sorry. The only time I'll ever curse on this channel is if I'm talking about taxes, as you just saw. But man, listen, I'll tell you this. What's okay? I'm in the 37.5% federal income tax bracket. It's the highest tax bracket there is. I've been setting it up to where when my son's out of high school in 3 years, I can come here and live off of dividend income from our investments, because stock dividend is taxed mostly at 15%. But if you are in the highest income tax bracket, you're taxed at 22.5%. So I can live off of passive income here and pay less in taxes. I'm a U.S. citizen. There's this myth that, oh, if you don't live in the U.S. more than at least 6 months a year, you don't have to pay taxes. Yes, you do. Your social security number is your number on your arm, which states they own you for life. I don't care what country you go to, and if you never go back to the U.S. If you're a U.S. citizen and you have earned income, you will pay taxes. If you don't have earned income, you have still better file to prove it, or they'll freeze your bank accounts. Literally had that happen to me once here many years ago. But yeah, my point is, we're very much looking forward to being able to spend as much or more time over here as we do in the U.S. Not because we don't love America. We love it tremendously, dearly as a U.S. citizen now, by the way. Daniel has